Having now spent over 30 hours in the ink-soaked arenas of Splatoon 3, I'm happy to say it's the best the series has ever been. It's not a massive change to the formula, and in many respects the sequel plays it rather safe. But it makes a lot of smart choices that enable the series to be more accessible to newcomers, deeper for long-time fans, and evidence that Nintendo are slowly getting better at this whole online gaming thing. It's easy to forget that Splatoon is still a relatively new entry in Nintendo's portfolio. The first game came out to much fanfare back in 2015, positing the company's fresh and interesting take on the shooter market. But of course it came out on the Wii U, a console that was much maligned and never really attained much foothold in the market. With that came Splatoon 2 a mere 2 years later, over on the Nintendo Switch, a game that in many respects often felt like Splatoon 1.5. While it's an entirely new story and setting, much of the original game was simply transposed onto the Switch, with the bulk of the work figuring out how to transfer the user interface and control scheme from the Wii U's touchscreen gamepad to something that works in a more portable fashion. This isn't to say it was bereft of new ideas, given it had a new campaign, plus a lot of DLC that included the likes of the PvE mode Salmon Run, where you work together to fight off enemy fish in pursuit of loot. So here we are, 7 years into the series with this third installment, which takes the game into a new biome or territory of the world of Splatoon. It is, on many levels, a meaningful iteration on the formula that doesn't make any major or drastic changes, but rather it feels like a measured improvement of so many of the individual components. I suspect if you're not already a fan of the series, or just generally interested by what Splatoon has previously had to offer, this isn't going to change your mind. But for those who've enjoyed previous entries, this feels like what is, for the time being at least, the definitive version of the ink-splatting experience. The features on offer this time around are very much in the same ilk as Splatoon 2, with the standard multiplayer modes both in regular and pro where teams battle it out to make the biggest mess possible in a given map. Salmon Run returns with a more fleshed out offering, with different weapons, layouts, enemies, mutators, and even a boss battle. Plus there is the campaign that secretly hides in each of these games as well. In addition to this, there's actually a weird card-collecting tabletop game that is sort of a mini-game that's hiding out in the options. I mean, it's literally hiding in a back alley of the city. This card game tasks players with essentially playing a match of Splatoon as a card game, and you place cards to take up space on the map in an effort to score points. It's an interesting little addition that I haven't spent a huge amount of time with, but it makes for a fun distraction between matches if you're keen to take a short break. And of course, on top of all this are, of course, the special seasonal events. In fact, I'm writing this video after the completion of the first Splatfest and with the second one already announced. These are regular occurrences in previous games, in which players align with one of two factions, and the community scores would then help declare an official winner. These actually have an impact on the games themselves in the long run. In fact, the winning theme of the final Splatfests for Splatoon 1 and 2 actually influenced the design of the next game in the series. However, this time around, to add a bit of anarchy to the proceedings, a Splatfest is now between 3 different teams, and at the midpoint of the Splatfest event, a tricolour battle opens up, in which a team of 4, representing the current winning faction, have to fend off 2 teams of 2, each representing the other losing factions at that time. But as I said, outside of small changes, it's largely business as usual, which is largely for the best given the Splatoon formula is fundamentally quite solid. Shoot each other and make a mess. It's a basic premise that, courtesy of the weapons and tools provided, enables for players to have a myriad of options on how to tackle it. Do you prioritise combat and maximum splats, or are you more inclined to get about and ensure maximum coverage? Each of these approaches is equally valuable, and sometimes it's that final enemy splat, or that attention to detail, that leads to your team taking the victory once it's all added up. But it goes much deeper than that, with all your equipment carrying specific buffs to your playstyle, while your weapon also influences the grenade type and ultimate ability you can employ. The changes I've observed to the formula is largely small tweaks to the gameplay mechanics that are more likely going to impact players on higher skill levels, allowing you to zip around a little more effectively in squid form, as well as just the tightness of the controls. Plus, the level of customization has increased further, with the ability to have more control of what buffs are applied to specific items in your collection, for a fee, of course. It all adds a little more depth at the higher levels of play and gives you an additional element of the game to master. Plus, there is a great effort to streamline the experience more. While teleporting around key areas was in earlier games, this feels easier and less cumbersome. The ability to skip the video broadcasts when maps change every hour or so is also very much welcome. You can simply have the key information pop up on a banner on the screen. Don't get me wrong, I love the energy and style they bring to this stuff, but getting interrupted for the 10th time in a week to play the same canned exchange between characters gets a little old. plus actual matchmaking with friends, a feature that has been sorely missing in the past 2 games. The online element of Splatoon 3 is good, but it's funny how happy I am with a lot of the matchmaking stability and other features, which largely just bring it onto par with pretty much any non-Nintendo game. After all, with online play, Nintendo can never make it easy for you, so it's nice to play something that's a bit closer to the norm. Right now the biggest issue is handling rage quits and host migration, given the matchmaking, or even the games themselves, will simply terminate if one player bails. But given how fast the matchmaking and each game winds up being, this is seldom a huge issue, but it's nonetheless a pain when you have 2 or 3 of these happen back to back. Thus far, like I said, I've put well over 30 hours into the game, and in fact spending more time than I did with Splatoon 2. I'm confident in saying this is the best the series has been. The core multiplayer is fun, the salmon run has been fleshed out with more to do and not stuck with a limited time window, and the campaign is actually pretty fun. I really struggled to play the campaign in both Splatoon 1 and 2, which is ultimately a set of limited platforming and combat puzzles, given I either found them rather boring or quite frustrating, but I'm around 80% through it at this point, and I've found the missions more engaging and the ability to replay them using different weapons much more fun than in previous sittings. I'll concede I can't quite put my finger on why I think they're better this time around. I think it is actually the combination of the more interesting puzzles, but the underlying combat and mechanics of Splatoon 3 just being a bit more polished and refined that works well in this particular context. Like I said at the beginning, if you're not a fan of Splatoon already, there's nothing here to lure you in all honesty. It's very much the same game, but better, and for those who have previously dabbled in the series, there's still enough here to recapture your excitement. If you're on the fence, I'd hold off for a sale, given it looks like the Splatfests will continue every month, but also they have plans for more gradual updates with game modes, maps and other content. They seem committed to having players stick around, and the reception of this game in Japan in particular has been massive, so I suspect we won't be starved for new content. In the meantime, I'm going to wrap up this video, you can let me know your thoughts on Splatoon 3, I'll be back soon with another video of Smoke and Mirrors, and you should stick around and support AI in games to enjoy it. Catch you later folks.